Hi everyone, how are you doing? This is Amanda. So today is the 26th of July 2021 and we are going to be doing a special video today where we look at the energy of Tim Bergling, commonly known as Avicii. Tim was a Swedish DJ, musician, producer and performer who died aged 28 and who left behind, I'm actually hearing a tribe of people, a group of souls who he had gathered together in unity and who are very bereft at his loss. He also left behind a loving family and friends. He left behind an amazing body of work. And the interesting thing about Tim is that often you don't realise that you actually know his songs, but you will know his songs, or most people know his songs. One of his big hits, Wake Me Up, is, I think it's got 2 billion hits on YouTube, okay, 2 billion views. So this guy has got a massive following, very loved, and has a very unique energy signature. And we're going to be discussing various things in this video, linking into soul tribe, linking into mental health, linking into anything really that he wishes to say. But I'd like to maybe start by saying a little bit about his energy signature, because it is different, and he actually has come in to me in a very different way to how other spirits approach me. So those of you that have just found me, I've been channeling something that I call the Heart Squad for the last couple of years, and they are a group of souls who we all know and love, who have died, who've passed over, and who come through with messages and teaching to help us navigate these times. There is a playlist that is below. You can see who is in that list. And Tim is the latest addition to the squad. And it's perfect, really, because I think a lot of his work and a lot of his life was about finding his tribe. Indeed, that song, Wake Me Up, has got the line in it. I've just written this down. I didn't know I was lost. And then once somebody says, pack your things, we're going somewhere we belong. It was very much about belonging, trying to find where we belong. And he seems to have come in as this sort of wayshower, and I'm hearing it's like a spearhead type energy to gather people together. And, you know, if you went to one of his events, it was all about bringing people together in an atmosphere of joy and celebration and happiness and togetherness. And he seems very much to be about unity consciousness as well. And it feels as though at a time in our world where we all seem to be subdividing even more and separating even more into different camps with regards to so many different subjects, it's as though his energy comes in just to remind us that we're all one. And he keeps showing me the triangle. And I do know, of course, that his logo was made up of, I'll just show it here, I printed it out, was the 2 triangles, which I think people say is linked into the way he wrote A and V. So, you know, that is, the triangles obviously are very linked into his energy. So we might talk to him about that. But anyway, let me just show you his beautiful face, because he did have a really beautiful face. Excuse the reflection in my mirror, but there we go. There he is. It's a beautiful photograph, isn't it? Very gentle. Excuse me. What's interesting about him is that when you look at him, there are different layers and there are different levels to his energy. So when I first looked at him, I will just say at the outset, I've just grown to love his music in the last couple of weeks, because I wasn't, again, somebody that was following him when he was alive. I was one of those people that's like, oh, that's Avicii, is it? I know that song, but I didn't know it was him. But when I first looked at his energy in the last couple of days, I thought, oh yeah, definitely on the angelic spectrum, you know, from the angelic realm. I can just see the angelic energy all through his energy signature. Indeed, I would go so far as to say, feels very much like an earth angel type signature. Very much somebody that was almost too pure for this world. Came in with an extraordinary amount of white light in particular. And when you come in with a lot of white lights and a lot of purity and a lot of innocence, there are two things. A, you can find it very hard to just be here on Earth, which is quite a dense planet, which is why he needed the crowds around him as well, because the crowds grounded him, actually. There were things that he did in his life, whether it was consciously or subconsciously, that helped ground him and keep him here for the length of time that he was here. The other thing that also grounded him was animals. So I'm seeing dogs just seem to be around him. I think he did have a dog, but I just feel the energy of a dog that helped keep him here as well. But crowds, it's like the unity of being in a crowd meant that he didn't feel as alone. But it's quite, I haven't seen a lot of the footage, but some of the footage I have seen of him, I think it's where he's on stage and he's on top of some great big, is it a big face or something? In a way, it's quite poignant and quite sad, because he's gathered this whole crowd there in front of him who are having this great time, but yet he's sort of in isolation up there, looking down on it, not being, well, he is participating, but not actually in the thong of it all, the throng of it all. So his energy signature, angelic, but then the more that I looked at it, I was also seeing a galactic signature. And I'm very, very sure that in particular there's a very strong Sirian energy with him. I got it twice, the fact that he holds this very strong Sirian energy. And the thing about the Sirian galactic energy is it is often very much about order. It's almost quite like a commander type energy. He might not have been very comfortable landing here in the way that he did when he incarnated, but he brought through a lot of strength that came via his Sirian lineage as well. I also want to say Lyrian, because we're not ever just from one place in the galaxy. So Sirian, Lyrian, angelic. There are another two that surprised me about him. Also picking up a very strong Merlin vibe. Again, if you think about Merlin and who Merlin is, Merlin's like this grand alchemist. He's the magician. And in a way, you can see that what Tim did with his music was literally as though he had a big cauldron, which was actually his mixing desk, where he was able to sample all sorts of different music, all sorts of different vibrations, put it into one big melting pot, and then bring out a sound that was just completely him, okay? It was Avicii, it was the sound of Avicii, but it was made from these different components. And the thing about him as well was he wasn't proud in terms of having to do it all. He wanted to be able to embrace other people's talents. So in particular, I don't know their names, but I'm seeing a number of the singers that he worked with or that were on his tracks that were singing the words, and being able to just really relish and enjoy the prominence that those people then had as a result of singing on an Avicii track, or people that were associated with it. So it's as though he brought huge numbers of people together to actually listen and be at one of his events. But he also had this ability, like Merlin, to be able to bring all of these different components together, all of the different talents and skills and gifts, and just make it into something extraordinary and wondrous. And his sound, the sound that he was able to create, was all about uplifting the vibration. It was about the vibration of joy and movement and flow and happiness. But what was so clever about Tim was that he was also then able to weave in some very deep messages to make the world wake up, awaken, and think about things that we need to face as a humanity. So yeah, so Merlin. The other energy that, again, really surprised me, but it hasn't gone away, is it's like the fire dragon energy. Now, I don't believe he was a fire dragon in Chinese astrology. I think he might have been an earth dragon. I think I'm right in saying that, but I keep picking up the fire energy with him. Now, it might have been that it lay dormant. I don't know, but there's something about the dragon energy as well. What is that? Or maybe it was the fire dragons that helped him again to just stay here. Because the thing about his energy is, because it was so high and so pure, he also struggled to actually stay in a body. Now, you might not have heard that concept before, but it is not as uncommon as you think. But he had it to a very high degree. I'm actually being told he almost, the highest level that he got into his body on a day-to-day basis was something like 75%. And because I'm in his energy now, and I've been in his energy for the last 24 hours, it's very spacey. It's very, it does feel a little bit ungrounded, but that's not a judgment. It's because of the vibration that he held. It's literally like I'm trying to anchor him down the whole time to just be here with us. He shows himself to me not as he was. This is what's really interesting. All the other people that I've channeled, whether it's Michael Jackson, Prince, John Lennon, George Michael, Princess Diana, Aretha Franklin, Bob Marley, whoever they are, they often come in and they're really like, it's like, I mean, Alan Rickman, I remember him so clearly. It's like he's really, when Alan comes through, he's like really happy to be in a body again. I mean, yes, he's spirit, but they're showing themselves back in a body. And, you know, like with Alan, it was like, yeah, I'm sitting in that chair over there and I'm really happy to be back on the earth plane and talking to you. And I can see him there. With Tim, it's totally different. I'm not seeing him as Tim. It's almost like he didn't, or that body, I'm not seeing him like this. He's showing me himself as, this sounds weird, but as a kite in the sky. And the thing about a kite in the sky is it's literally like it's here, but it's actually up there. And I feel as though he spent a lot of his life a bit like that, a bit like the kite. The energy that was so high that found it really hard just to anchor and ground. It's so high that I'm actually sitting here with bogie stones. Bogie stones just help to balance and ground. And the other thing they do is also they help balance out the masculine and feminine energy. And I feel that he was so ahead of his time, guys. I mean, he was so balanced also in terms of his masculine and his feminine energy. Very balanced. Again, not many people are as highly aligned as that. But I just keep being shown at birth. It's literally like coming in, being born, choosing to be born, choosing to incarnate for a specific purpose. But it's literally like the little baby that opens its eyes. It's like, oh my God, you know, this is Earth, and this is what they do. And they're still doing that to each other, and they're still behaving like that. And what, they can't do that? And they can't operate from their hearts. And they're still killing and doing you know, all of that. And then so much of his ability, which all spirit has, you know, which is about freedom and just expression and movement and, you know, direct connection with God. And suddenly we're here and it's like, my God, what is this? But the thing about it is that he came because he knew so many other people felt like this. So many of the tribe, the human tribe, feel like this, particularly younger people, particularly a lot of our youth. But he's also appealing to the youth within all of us, whatever age we are, you know? This is the thing, and it's so funny because today, last night, my daughter went up to London, and she's 19, and I mean, she's been to raves before, but because of lockdown, it's all just started to open up again. So she went to a rave in London. And there was part of me as a mum, you know, like, oh my God, what's she going to be doing and all the rest of it and worrying. But there was another part of me, and it was coming from Tim's energy, where Tim was almost like encouraging me to like, yeah, you'd love it, Amanda. You'd love it. Get yourself up there next time. Because it's like the vibration there is just what it's all about. And young people get the fact that it's important to be together. and to rejoice in that, to rejoice in it in a very free-spirited way. So I will also say as well, for us mums and dads or aunties, uncles, whoever you are, grandparents, he also said to me, I'll also keep your daughter safe. I think that's rather lovely to know, because, you know, the rave scene has its issues like lots of other scenes in our world. And yeah, I'm talking drugs and, you know, people maybe just taking it too far and then paying the ultimate price. So he was very sweet. He said, don't worry, I'll watch over her. I'll make sure she's okay. So you can call on him in that type of situation. You can also call on him as a young person to look out for your best interests, is what he's saying, to have a good time, but to do so safely, you know. So that's something that came through very strongly. Right, let's go back a couple of steps and let's talk a little bit more about who he was, what he stood for, and get some messages from him. So yeah, the kite, the kite, I wouldn't, it's weird because I wouldn't be surprised if I now start to see kites in the sky or something. I'll probably go out today and see a kite in the sky and it will be a sign that there he is, there's Tim. I actually have flown a kite recently. It was a few years ago. There was a kite festival round here and I went and I couldn't even get the kite up in the air. But some guy came and helped me and it was just such a nice thing to do. Very childlike as well. There's something about the kite and his energy. I'm also now being shown birds and I'm being shown, is there a bird called a red kite? Hold on a minute. I'm being shown a bird by him. Yeah, there's a red, he's showing me a red kite bird, which looks like that apparently. So I don't know whether, you know, in particular parts of the world, if you see that type of bird, again, that's a sign that he's there. He seems very connected into the bird kingdom energy as well. Right. So where do I want to start with his numerology as well because it's fascinating. He was born on the 8th of September 1989, which makes him a Virgo. Now, I can't think of anybody else that I know of who is a master number 44. How we get to that number is you add up his date of birth, his month, and the digits of the year that he was born, and you get to 44. Not only is he a master number 44, he also was born on the 8th. 4 and 4 add to 8. You don't normally then reduce a master number down into a single digit, but, you know, there is a double 8 energy with him as well. The 8 energy, to start with, is linked into Saturn, the planet Saturn. I'm talking here about colour numerology, not astrology. Saturn, and you can see this all through his life, his short life, it's all about hard work. It's about duty, it's about perseverance, it's about responsibility, it's about structure, it's about pressure, but it's about work, work, work. And, you know, it's very well reported. There are a number of theories about his death, and yeah, I'll try and look at it, but believe you me, there's a great big veil that's come down in front of it. It's almost like he doesn't want me to go there. And if he doesn't want me to go there, guys, I'm going to respect it. We all know the theories that are out there in terms of how he might have died. I mean, it's reported it was suicide. Maybe it was, but there are, you know, he was involved in exposing, you know, child sex trafficking and human trafficking, and a lot of people that seem to do that seem to pay a very high price, including people that I've channeled, such as, for example, Chris Cornell. Haven't done Chester Bennington yet, but yeah, you know, I know it's there. But anyway, let's get to that later. Number 8 worked tirelessly. One of the things about him is that they almost say that the work killed him. I haven't seen the documentary, no. I know there's a documentary out there which shows him absolutely exhausted. He did step back from performing, but again, just this incessant demand for him to keep working, to keep performing. It's all there in that number 8 energy. The other thing about 8 and the date that he was born, 8 is about infinity, so it is always about being connected into the Godhead, but it's also to do with doing things in a big way, okay? Number 8 energy, it's the energy of the leader. It's abundance, it's money, it's success. Master number 44, as I say, it's rare. It's really rare. Really, really rare. And what do I want to say about master number 44? I mean, in many ways, there's not a lot actually that's written about it out there. And some of what's written is, I know, well, it's okay. But I think we've just scraped the surface of what it is, really. What I'm being shown it is these layers, okay, like I've been expressing earlier, the angelic energy, the galactic energy, the elemental energy. It's almost like you can't pin this guy down because he's all of it. It's like he must have done at soul level many other lives, not all on Earth either. I don't think he's had many incarnations on Earth, but in many other places. He's just learnt a lot, and it's all there. It encompasses being able to awaken people, being able to work hard, master healer energies, master builder. It's all of the qualities of all of the other master numbers. Let me just see what Metatron will tell me about master number 44, who's my guide. Master number 44. The seeds of growth, the seeds of change, the seeds of transformation, the seeds of sublime ability. I keep hearing the seeds of growth, the seeds of change, the seeds of transformation. These people are, it's interesting, I'm hearing key breakers. That's a really interesting thing to say because it's like, you'd expect it to be a key holder, but it's almost as though the key in the lock, it's like we don't want that old lock, we don't want that old key, we don't want that old paradigm, we don't want that old world, we don't want that old earth, we don't want things the way they were. I don't just want to unlock that old door. I want to break the key and create a completely new doorway. I want to smash that old doorway down and create something completely new. It's, okay, Metatron's saying it's the energy of the portal holder. Ooh, that's beautiful. Let me write that down. The portal holder. It's the energy of the portal holder. He was almost like a portal in himself, which is why poor bloke was so exhausted. He took people through into a portal. He was the portal. His music was the portal. His energy was the portal. Very, very hard to sustain that. It doesn't mean if you've got a master number 44, you're going to burn out at 20 to 28. I was going to say 22 then. That was interesting. I don't know whether something happened to him age 22 whereby he had another blip or felt very burnt out, or there was something around the age of 22. Don't know what that is, but almost as though there was another exit point at 22 or something that was just so big that was presented to him, which was like, oh my God, I don't know whether I can do that. Because again, this is the thing with the master numbers. Just because you're born with all of this potential doesn't mean you necessarily always fulfill it. I think he did fulfill it. I think he did. But I also think he paid, he might have paid a high price for that. But equally, the soul knew what it was getting into. The other thing with number 8 energy is it's very linked into the father. And I know he had a close relationship with his father. And there's something here about the father carrying on his work, which I know he does. I've seen his father being interviewed. So the father carrying on the son's work, something about some sort of contract between the father and the son. So I'm hearing the word authenticity linked into the father. So it's as though what the father is trying to do, the legacy that he's trying to build, is authentic and pure and true. And just because it doesn't go into particular areas, and here I'm talking about human trafficking, it's also to do with Tim's energy, which is very protective of his family, his friends. There are certain things that are not safe to particularly talk about or at the moment, because it needs, what I'm hearing, divine intervention to take place. Too many people have been taken down for exposing it. And I'm not saying 100% he was. I'm just saying that is fact that they have been. So, yeah, okay. Anything else I want to say here? I want to say something about his name. So his name, you see, he called himself Avicii, Now, Avicii has two meanings. In Sanskrit and Pali, it means without waves. To me, I don't know anything about Sanskrit or Pali, but it says it means without waves. My interpretation of just without waves, taking it away from those two belief systems now, is that to me, without waves implies stagnation. Okay. Well, there's two ways. It could be stagnation. It could be very tranquil, but I'm feeling it's stagnation. That's why he wants to show himself as the kite. You can't fly a kite on a still day with no wind. You can only fly a kite when there are waves, when there are thermal waves. That's why it's like he wants to get... I mean, he can't really get away from being Avicii because that's who he is. But Tim and Avicii were very different people. Tim identifies as the kite. Avicii is this... what's the expression? What's he trying to say to me? This millstone around my neck is what he's saying. Millstone around my neck. What he means by that, he's talking about the vibration of the name. Avicii, I know this, means the lowest level of Buddhist hell, okay? It's a word that means the lowest level of Buddhist hell. Now, he's said to have chosen it because his name was taken up on, I think it was MySpace or something. But he chose Avicii. Now, you see, Tim was very young, and when he died, he was just starting to get interested in things like transcendental meditation. If he had lived longer, he would have trod he'd have been interested in everything. He'd have been really exploring a lot of spirituality. I doubt that he knew about, for example, the work of somebody like Dr. Masaru Emoto, who's proven that, we are 70% water, so what you say to water is what you become. So if you call yourself Avicii, you're calling yourself the lowest level of Buddhist hell. You sort of start to become it. It was a millstone around his neck. I don't think he realised quite what the vibration of that and how much that would drag him down. I'm just literally wanting to do that. I'm just literally just seeing this energy of this guy who's just being pulled down by this name and the vibration of the name. But it is what it is. So what do you want to say about that name, Tim Avicii? He's very matter of fact. he's sort of just saying, well, it's like that was the foundation upon which I built my notoriety, I can't say that word, my popularity, my fame. I'm just being shown this foundation, this brick foundation. That was my foundation. But he's now saying, I realise that some foundations are maybe made of sand and some foundations are more solid. So upon which to build my own mental health and my own wellness, maybe it wasn't the wisest choice. But to be able to build a brand that sounded good, it worked in that way. So in some ways it worked because it is catchy. Avicii, yeah, it's catchy, it sounds good, but in other ways it didn't work. So it's very dualistic, very dualistic. I will say, because again, he's very hard to just capture, but he's just shown me again the kite. But again, it's little things with him. He's very subtle because his energy was very, very subtle, very gentle, very delicate. The signs that he gives are very subtle. As an example, again, I know this sounds a bit random, but, I always buy actually these were my birthday flowers, but, they're in honour of Tim as well. So I put the flowers out. I prepared the space yesterday because I knew I was going to do this work. I printed off this beautiful photograph of him. I just got ready to be in his energy today. And usually I would put like a table mat or something there, a nice colour. I was going through them. I was trying to find the colour that matched with Tim's energy. I couldn't find it. None of them were working. Literally, it was a case of put one down, had to take it off. That's not right. And then I realised what he wanted was just the wood. He just wanted the wood. He wanted the wooden desk. It was very Swedish. It's just about the wood. It's very minimal. there's this minimalism with him. So, yeah. Right. I've got lots of questions from you all, which I'm going to get into in a minute. I've talked about him not fully being in his body. Humble would be a word I'd describe him as well. 44 I've talked about. Yeah, I've done that. Okay. Right, let's put that to one side then. I'm just going to get this out of the way because I know you all want me to do it. I'm going to pull a couple of cards in regards to his death and see what he wants to say on it. I will say to you, I tried last night and it was really, really like pulling teeth. It was really difficult to get anything out of him at all. And again, I'm being shown him tight-lipped for some reason. I don't know what that means. Well, it could be interpreted in many different ways. I'm just going to see what I can get for you, okay? I don't know if I said this earlier, but I do feel with him that, put it this way, if it wasn't suicide and he was taken down because of what he was trying to reveal, i.e. human trafficking, for example, he would have been taken down at some point. That's a horrible thing to say, but it's what I'm wanting to say. They would have found him. Look at that card on the bottom of the deck, the Hermit. They would have found him. You know, he wouldn't have been allowed to just hide out. And this is generally, actually, his whole life. He wouldn't have been allowed to just become the Hermit. They would have always found him, is what I want to say. I'm also hearing the expression, don't shoot the messenger. Okay, I'm going to leave that open to interpretation. His death is shrouded in mystery, though. I mean, as I say, I've only had 24 hours to really get to grips or try to understand who he even was, just to be able to do this video. But, you know, it's reported, yes, it was suicide. And he definitely wants to bring suicide up as a subject to talk about. And mental health is very important to him. But, you know, there's very little written about how it happened, the manner and how it happened. Or there's nothing. It's literally like there's this great big veil that's been put down over it. But I'm also feeling that today. It's like there's a veil, not meant to see for some reason. That card kept coming out last night, the World, when I was trying to tune into this, over and over and over again. You see, the World card implies that, look at that. She's holding the infinity sign. She's holding the number 8. He had completed his mission. You know, however tragic his death was and however it occurred, he had completed his mission. He had completed what he came in to do. I don't believe this was a guy who incarnated and was meant to stay and be here till he was 70 or 80. There's something about him being an icon for youth. It's a bit like, it's funny, I nearly put Marilyn Monroe's photograph up behind me today. And there's something about Marilyn in terms of, you know, dying at the peak of your beauty in her sense. She's always that. You never saw Marilyn getting really old and haggard and all of that. Same with Princess Diana. They're in this like this vault where he's always this guy in our minds, and that's the way it was meant to be. Because again, figurehead for youth. In 100 years' time, there's still going to be young people that look at him, and it's like they get behind this whole energy. They identify with him. It's like, he's my tribe. He's the spearhead. He's the wayshower. He's going to continue to be that. So he completed his mission with perfection, is what I'm hearing. And again, this is why he doesn't want us just to keep going on and on about his death. He truly doesn't. He wants to get to the bigger subjects, which is to do with what he was passionate about. I mean, his foundation is all about... What is his foundation about? I did write it down. The Tim Bergling Foundation advocates the recognition of suicide as a global health emergency. Yes, it is that. It also additionally supports global hunger, climate change, and the preservation of wildlife and endangered species. That's what he's interested in. That human trafficking, yes, as well. But again, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. People are taken out for talking about these things. That's why we need divine intervention here. but he's a spearhead that came to bring it up. Again, that card that came out last night, that's just flipped out again, the moon. Not meant to see. Look at that card, not meant to see. And I don't know if you can see the card clearly, but you know, these figures here, they're all like, oh my God. It's like torment. Not meant to see. Not meant to see. Strength though on the bottom of the deck, and it's got the lion in the sacral chakra. I'm making this today on the 26th, which is the first day of Lionsgate portal being open. I'll do further work on that on my channel. But maybe Lionsgate this year might just usher in, you know, I'm hearing crowbars. Weren't crowbars shown in one of his videos for a better day? There's somebody smashing, that sounds a bit graphic, well, it is graphic. Someone gets a crowbar and is basically smashing this child abuser's skull in. I'm seeing crowbars, but in a different respect here. No, he's not condoning violence. It's more to do with crowbars prizing open the secrets, what is hidden in our world, what we don't want to look at as a species. We can't look at it. It's too horrendous. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at that. Well, sooner or later we're going to have to face it. And it's as though we're given the strength to be able to face it. The lion's strength. Anyway, let me just see. Anything to say about your death, Tim? I understand if you can't, but anything else to say about your death, please? Let me just see if you tune in first before the cards. He's shown me spiralling into a descent of pain. Spiralling into a descent of chaos. Spiralling into a descent of silence. Spiralling into a place of isolation. Spiralling into a place of loneliness. How sad is that? A man that was able to garner a huge crowd who loved him. There's a loneliness there, but it's more like an existential loneliness. It's a loneliness for home, for God, felt very separated here on earth from all that was good. At the end, not all through his life. There was obviously a lot of good in his life. It's just how he was feeling at the end. Three of Wands. I don't know quite what the depiction of this is supposed to be on this card, but it's interesting, you can see, because to me, I look at that card and I just see the three piles of dung, which the branches are growing out of, you know, rather than being able to see what is growing, just focusing on the dung, the manure, the shit, basically, the shit of human nature. Wanting to be free from the shit of human nature. This, I'm sure, is linked into what he knew, and it's to do with. I'm sure it's to do with trafficking, trying to raise awareness of that. I don't know whether I said earlier in this video, but the last Heart Squad video I did was Chris Cornell. Did I say that? And again, Chris Cornell was very involved with. Trying to rescue children and raise awareness of trafficking. You know, Seven of Swords, manipulation, lies, deceit. Six of Swords, just want to get away from it all. Get away from the horrors of it all. Ten of Wands, it was just too much. Heavy burden, heavy burden. Too much expected of me, feeling as though I have to do it all on my own. Maybe not being able to ask for help. Don't know how good he was at being able to ask for help. He was a Virgo, so Virgos can be a bit perfectionist. You know, everything has to be just so. Might have been he wasn't very good at asking for help. One more, Tim. Okay, thank you. Two more. The Lovers, which is the card of choice, and the Magician. I'm hearing make it a better world. I'm not going to get any further than that with him. And I have to respect, it's what I got last night. He doesn't want to go into it too much. So this is very much about make it a better world for you and for me. And yeah, that is a nod to Michael Jackson. It's quite a similar energy to Michael in respect of trying just to, it's weird. It's like trying to protect me. It's like I'm not going to show you all of it because I'm not going to put you in danger. That's what it is. That's what it is. So we're going to move on. I'm going to go to some questions for Tim. Let me get my questions up. I'm just going to look on Instagram because, to be honest, there were so many questions that came in from so many of you, all of which were brilliant. But I'm just going to have to try and pick out a handful. So let's go to it. 210 comments here. So Tim, let's see what we get. You made so many people happy in this lifetime with your elevated music, putting yourself second. What would you do differently if you had another chance? Was he interested in learning another language? I know that sounds really weird, but I'm feeling as though I'm being taken to education. I feel he had a desire to. He wanted to learn more. I feel like he wanted to learn more. I'm being shown languages for some reason. I mean, I suppose music is a language, isn't it? But there's something about language and fluency in other languages. I wanted to say French. Maybe he spoke French. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go through these quite quickly so we can get through as many as possible. Could you ask Tim, for those of us that carry a musical gift and the spirit of song, if he has any advice for us on how to share it and how it can be of service and healing to the world? Thank you. Do it from your heart. Share it from your heart. Know that it will reach who it's meant to reach. Don't fixate on the end goal of the filled stadium or the filled music hall or the #1 spot. Just focus on the joy of creating the music and it finding the right person who needs it at that moment in time. Do it for you and do it for them, even if it's just you and one other person, and it will grow from that. That's what he's saying. Okay. Hi Amanda, I would like to know if he has any advice or guidance for severe social anxiety. Severe social anxiety, Tim. Take it a day at a time. Take it day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. Try to switch off the outside noise, the internal chatter. He's showing me meditation. Being you, being proud to be you, not apologizing for being you, being proud of your uniqueness, being proud of your differences, not comparing yourself to anybody else, just trying to be the best version of yourself that you can be, not worrying about what others are doing, not worrying about what others are saying, feeding yourself, feeding your soul, being in connection with nature, being in communion with nature, loving the small things, loving the little things, loving the gestures that are kind, being gentle, asking for help, accepting that help, being in sunlight, being in water, learning to be at home with yourself and who you are. Okay. Hi guys, I just took a little break there because my battery exhausted itself. So I've reviewed what has come through already, and I'm glad I did, because there's a couple of things I haven't said, and then I'm going to do a few more questions and then we will close this out, because I think this is probably just going to be the first one of quite a few. I know I say that for so many of the Heart Squad videos, but I do know that some people don't like really long videos, so I try and keep it to a time frame that people will actually watch to. Just one thing, might sound a bit random, but I think it's actually quite important. Tim kept giving me a song over the last couple of days, and there's two reasons for it. One, he said that the rhythm of it, for want of a better word, or the vibration of it, the feel of it is very him in terms of his sound. I wonder if you can guess what it is. It's actually Ed Sheeran's Bad Habits. So it literally just kept coming on every time I put the radio on, and I did feel Tim very much with me listening to it. A, he likes the song. B, there seems to be a similarity in terms of whatever Ed is tapping into at the moment in terms of that style or genre of music. Sounds very Avicii-like. I don't know whether Tim may even be dropping ideas into Ed's head, as it were, as inspiration. But the other thing about it is the lyrics to that song, Bad Habits, is also part of the reason why he was drawing it to our attention, because he was saying that he got into bad habits towards the end of his life. And what he means by that is the alcohol in particular, although he's also mentioning food. But I think he was quite good with this food, wasn't he? But anyway, he's mentioning food as well. But certainly drink, okay, alcohol, bad habit. So there seems to be something in the lyrics to that song that are saying something to us as well, that it's very easy to get into a bad habit is what he's saying. But equally, you can break a habit, but again, it takes dedication, perseverance and commitment. So it's about changing our bad habits into good ones. It's breaking the chain so that they don't end up costing you dear, okay? So there was that song. I also wanted to say, because I didn't make it clear, when I mentioned the song, I know his real fans already know this, but for those that are new to his work, when I mentioned the song, what's it called, For a Better Day, and I was mentioning the scene of violence in it, it is in context. That video is very graphic, and what it basically illustrates and shows is people being trafficked and bought, and then you don't see it, but being abused, and then they are hunted down basically. And what it shows is that the people that are buying these people, these children, go all the way up to the very top in our society. So, you know, that video, if you haven't seen it, if you're strong enough to stomach it, is called For a Better Day. And it's very graphic. And you've only got to watch that to know what Tim knew. Okay. So I want to just, for this video, we're just going to ask him a little bit about people who are feeling suicidal or, you know, very, very, very down. But before we get to that, I'm going to end with that. I want to just also do a couple of other questions. So this one came in and it says, I recognised Avicii as a high vibrational being and a pure spirit. I have listened to him for years and I have always seen him as the eye of the storm. I want him to speak about the solitary existence he lived on Earth. So let's ask him about that, because he did mention loneliness, didn't he, towards the end of his life. And the thing is, you can be lonely in a crowd, you can be lonely in a relationship, you can be lonely in a loving family. It's to do with the energy that you have inside yourself. So sorry, he's already starting to speak. So talk to me a little bit about living a solitary existence. Okay. There's a balance to be had, he said. He's saying. So what he's showing me, of course, is the years he spent on the road, surrounded by people, surrounded by crowds, but surrounded by people. Even when he was traveling, there was always somebody there. So he's saying that silence is medicine. How important it is to be able to retreat and have your own space and time. And this seems to be something that starseeds and light workers don't understand and respect enough, the need for complete silence. My ears are popping. Yeah, because I was told this years ago actually as well, with an astrology reading I had, and the words always stayed with me along the lines of, and I'm sure Tim would agree with this, that if you don't get at least some silence every single day, you wind up like a fuse that's ready to blow and of no use to anybody. So this is the vibration that I'm being shown with Tim. So silence as a necessity, he's saying, alone time as a necessity, but equally it needs to also be balanced. Too much of it can be not a good thing, but never having it is equally toxic. So the importance of solitude. So what was the question again? About the solitary existence. You see, he didn't have a solitary existence. This is the whole point. He didn't have a solitary existence. He was always surrounded by people. Certainly when he became well known, he needed more of that. And he demanded that and requested that, but it was denied, is what I'm hearing. Or he felt he was always having to battle for it, as though it was something to feel guilty about, that actually he needed time just to switch off the phone, switch off everything, and just be. It's a shame that he wasn't able to do more of the meditation, which he was interested in towards the end of his life, because it would have really nourished him. But he is saying that for those of you that feel just spun out with life, and just so much to do the whole time, but also the noise of life, the frantic energy of life, how important it is to try and carve out some time for yourself. He's saying it's a necessity. Meditation is a necessity. Okay. Hey Amanda, thank you so much. Avicii's music is often enjoyed by people of different ages, whether they know it's one of his songs on the radio or not. Yeah, you're right, absolutely. Does he have any advice for bringing more loving compassion between generations? I often observe so much blame, both the young blaming older generations and older blaming younger. How can we bridge that gap and bring back more respect, understanding and compassion on both parts? So Tim, that's a really good question. So how do we bridge the gap between young and old and the blame game between them? To see yourself in them is what he's saying. So within the older person, to remember that the younger person still exists within you, and for the younger person to realize that the older person also is within you and will develop. So he's showing me it's a bit like At the moment, when you're young, you're like the rosebud, but you will become the open flower. I mean, have you ever seen such a big flower as that? I mean, it's ridiculous. You will become that. But equally, you can also become, I'll just be very gentle with it. No, I can't do it. But, you know, you're also the bud. So to see each other in each other is part of, is a vast majority of what is wrong with the human race, he's saying. He's saying it's not just, of course, linked into age, it's linked into how people treat other people. That if you saw that you were treating yourself in that way, or you were speaking to yourself in that way, or you were hurting yourself in that way as you do to another person, you wouldn't do it. Yeah. He's saying also that the young and the old need to get to a place where they realise they both have something to learn from each other. The older people need to realise that the youth are coming in with a new, fresh energy and new ideas and inspiration, and they need to be listened to, and what they have to say is of worth, and is needed, is desperately needed. Their outlook, their perspective on the world is important, that it's heard and it's given a space to be heard. But equally for the young to not close their ears to older people who have travelled a little bit further in this incarnation. You both have something to learn from each other. He's showing me a situation which feels like an educational establishment. Look at this, it's 111 as I say this, 111. Okay, so let's bring this in. This is a portal, he's a portal holder, this guy. 111, he's showing me a future educational establishment where there are both young and old teaching each other. And it's beautiful, it's like sitting in a circle, and it's as though older people are invited in to the schools or the colleges, and they sit in a circle with younger people. There are also children there of much younger age group, so it's like mixing ages, it's mixing abilities, it's a mixture of cultures, it's a mixture of belief systems, and people are sitting down and they are sharing their experiences. It's like a storytelling session where they learn from each other and they listen to each other. And that came in at 111 on the day that Lionsgate opens here. Thank you, Tim, for that. Let's hold that vision. Okay. Right. My question is, indigo, crystal and rainbow children are starseed children sent from the universe to provide teachings, wisdom and light to the world. With the current global situation, what can we do to further encourage and promote these divine teachings and healing to evoke peace and love worldwide? The first thing I want to say to that question is what Tim has just said, which is that we also need to realise that there is infinite wisdom within older people as well. We're all actually starseeds, okay? We need to let go of the labels a little bit. We're all starseeds, whatever age group we are. So, but anyway, what the young people, the question is, what they have to say, how can that be promoted? Okay, what Tim is showing me is younger people becoming entrepreneurs, very much like he did. I mean, I think I'm right in saying he started very young. As I'm recording this today, Tom Daly, who's a UK sporting legend actually, he's just won gold medal in synchronized swimming with his partner. And the point is, Tom started when he was 14. There's something about starting young. He's saying, sorry, this is Tim. He's saying it's important to teach entrepreneurship skills within colleges and within schools. And he says if that can't happen, it needs to start in the home. He's showing me a number of different resources that are going to be coming in and are already here, but will grow to encourage self-employment and entrepreneurship. Because it's about not waiting to be given the opportunity. You have to make the opportunity yourself, is what he's saying. Don't wait for the door to open for you, create the door. Remember, he's the portal holder, okay? So, and again, if you've been attracted into Tim's energy and his work and his music, and you want to work with him or connect to him, he's encouraging you to see yourself as a portal holder as well, that you're an agent of change is what he's saying. You are a generation of change for a world that desperately needs to change. But it starts with you, and don't wait to be invited to the table. You have to push your way onto the table is what he's saying. Okay. So again, there's a bit of that sort of fiery lion type energy coming through here. Okay. Okay, another question. I'm pumped for this one. What advice does he have for millennials and Generation Zs? Is that how you pronounce it? When it comes to social media and being influenced by others in the spotlight? What a great question. Okay, so what advice do you have for younger people when it comes to social media and being influenced by others in the spotlight? He's taking me back to what he said earlier in this video about being yourself. The importance of just being yourself, not trying to be a version of somebody else. Not hiding in other, not hiding or not hiding is not the right word. He's showing me a person. So this might be somebody on social media or a star or a celebrity who maybe has a lot of light or a lot of presence or I don't know, a lot of power, whatever, you know. And it's as though the old way was to try and gather around that energy to, I suppose, get a bit of the magic, you know. If I'm sort of near that person or in that vicinity, the magic rubs off on me. And what Tim is saying is you have to be your own magic. Don't try and just... You don't need to take it from somebody else. You don't need to... it's almost like riding on the coattails. You don't need to ride on the coattails of anybody else. It doesn't matter how anybody else looks. It doesn't matter how anybody else behaves. It's about who you are and what you want to bring and what you can do. But social media is a battlefield, as we know, Tim, in terms of negativity and trolling and all of that. So what advice would you give to people? Did it affect you? Sure, he says, sure, it affected me. Okay, there's like this deep understanding that for the tribe, as it were, and he's really talking about those who are either, you know, our youth or those that still have a youthful spirit within them, and who are awake and who are here to birth this new age. Sensitivity runs through your bloodstream is what he's saying. So what guidance do you give then to just try and deal with the unpleasantness of a lot of what is online when you do try and step up and just be your sovereign self? What would you say to that, Tim? To ignore it, he's saying. To ignore it. It's about them, it's never about you. To not justify. To not feel you have to keep justifying. To just do you. To just do you. He's showing me his feet. It's almost like just keep looking at your feet. Keep taking the steps forward. Keep your head down is what he's saying. He always wore a cap, didn't he? I feel like I want a cap on now. It's like it's like I want him to pull my cap down. It's like just keep your head down, keep going. You know who you are. You're tapped into the divine. You can ask for help. You know, just keep doing it. Keep your head down is what he's saying. Okay, right. Let's have 2 more questions. Let's just do a random one. There's so many here. I saw Avicii live in Toronto in 2011 and he lit up the venue. I was really saddened by his death and even more shocked to learn in the documentary about all his pain and struggles that he endured during the years he travelled and performed his music. Yeah, so do you want to talk a little bit about what people didn't see, basically, what was hidden in terms of your struggles and your exhaustion? I must say as well, there was the fact that my battery became exhausted when I was filming this. There's always a message in that. His battery was often exhausted. Do you want to just say anything about that? To speak up louder, he says. This is guidance for you, to speak up louder. When you need rest, you have to demand it as a basic human right, to be treated with respect. When you need time out is imperative, to be around those who understand that, to disassociate yourself from those that don't get that. I feel that he found the travelling in particular really tiring. I'm just seeing this image of him travelling and just really tired, like dragging his feet, you know, from one plane to another, from one coach to another, from one car to another. It's something about sitting in stagnant energy. Again, it's this thing about, can you hear the bird as soon as I said that? I'm seeing him in a car or a coach, and it's like, because he had to spend a lot of time travelling, it's a bit like sitting in your old clothes, you know. It's to do with sitting in the same space. It's Groundhog Day, you know, it's that whole thing. It's like, here we are again, it's Groundhog Day. I'm back in the car, I'm back here. There's another 10 hours on the road. It's like, and how did you cope with that? He says, I zoned out a lot of the time. I zoned out. I'm seeing two things. I'm seeing him zoned out, but I'm also seeing him working frantically. It's like it was both ends of the spectrum with him. No sort of middle ground. So the guidance is about trying to find the middle ground. It's always about balance, he says. It's always about trying to find balance. And I didn't find that when I was alive, in terms of workload anyway. I felt such a strong connection with Tim, and when he passed, it felt like someone close to me had died. I know for sure he was a Starseed, but it would be amazing to know what type and if he's back with his cosmic family. Well, I think he's Sirian. So let me just feel into any more about your cosmic family. He says, you're all my cosmic family. He says, you are my cosmic family here on Earth as well. He says, I just didn't really appreciate that as much as I should have done when I was here. To actually have seen and opened my eyes to the fact that everybody else in that crowd was feeling exactly like I do a lot of the time. He's saying to see beyond the face that people put on in the world. That, you know, if you actually, he said, if you actually scrape beneath the surface of the smile, of the nice clothes, of the whatever, you know, you find that actually we're all very similar and we're all struggling a lot of the time. And we all find life difficult sometimes. We all feel lonely sometimes. There's a song there, isn't there, Tim? Is it the Hollies? Everyone's gotta learn sometime. Everyone's gotta learn sometime. So I'm hearing that song by the Hollies. He's given me that song. I'm also hearing the song, the Corgis, sorry. Everybody's gotta learn sometimes. The Corgis, that's the song he's giving me. I'm also hearing the song, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. I know Avicii did a song called Hey Brother, but he's also showing me that song. He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. There's something in that song as well. That if we could just see each other as brothers and sisters and what unites us rather than what divides us, if we could find the common ground. Yeah. This is a good one. Avicii has a talent of seeing a crowd as a collective and incrementally increasing the vibration as a crowd. As a global collective, how or what would he recommend to increase the vibe of the collective? I feel like we're running a marathon in a desert of negativity. What sound should we listen to as we cross this desert? Okay. Well, any sound that really you want to, but let's just have a look. How can we increase the vibration on this planet, please? Tim, how can we increase the vibration on this planet at this moment in time, please? It's funny I'm doing this because I am feeling I want to say by prayer, the importance of prayer. Because again, it's the arrow, it's the thing about focus, focused intention, prayer. What does humanity actually truly want? He says much of humanity is struggling to answer that question. They think they want it, but actually do they? And I'm being shown Imagine by John Lennon, you know, as an anthem for ultimately, hopefully, what we all want. But the question is, do we really want that? Do we really want to change? So I'm being shown this prayer. I'm just going to pull a couple of cards here in terms of how we increase the vibration of this earth. Tim, what would you say? Oh, okay, I'm being drawn to numbers again. And in particular, I'm being drawn to 555. Okay, 55 or 555 or 5505 or 505 is linked into the energy of change. So there's something about the energy of 5 and the sequence of 5. Okay, it's the first thing to say. You know, when you see random numbers, particularly for the 5s, when you see them, try to then instantly think about what you want to change in the world and do it for the wider collective, not just yourself, okay? It's almost as though when you, it doesn't just have to be 55, but if you get shown a sequence of numbers, 1111 would be another one, 22, 22, 33, 33. At that moment you see it, rather than just thinking, oh, lovely spirit's with me, which is what I often do, try to get into the habit of, okay, I'm going to send out a prayer for this. Okay, I'm going to send out a prayer for that. I'm going to think of the animals. I'm going to think of people are starving. I'm going to bring in this better world. The two cards flipped out as I was talking, and it's just about the energy of the elders. Spiritual mentoring. It's this card. This is from the Lemurian Star Child Oracle deck. So we've got the elephant energy, which I've talked about repeatedly in the last few videos that I've done. And we've also got the energy of initiation and the whale. But you see, to me, these two cards, they're all talking about passing on wisdom to each other. It seems to be, how do we increase the vibration of the world? By listening to each other, by talking to each other, by hearing each other's stories and experiences. But you know, it is the elders as well, but it's not just the elders in terms of human beings, it's elders linked into the animals. The whales are supposed to be extraordinary record keepers, for example. So you could journey in meditation to be with the whale and to commune with the whale and receive a message from the whale. Another word on this card of elders is councils. It seems to be what he's saying is what he was showing us with regard to the schools. It's linked into councils coming into play, people working together, across party politics. You know, that we need to get to a place where we can sit down with people of different political persuasions, of different belief systems. It's the only way forward. He's just shown me councils. He's shown me circles within circles. Okay. Learning from each other. Okay, now I'm aware that this video has got rather long, so we haven't touched the big subject, which is suicide. I'm wondering whether to do that as a separate video. I think it probably warrants a separate video. It would actually be amazing if I could bring in Robin Williams at the same time, because I have done a video with Robin Williams on suicide. But I think if we brought Tim in with Robin, I think that would be amazing, don't you? So this is, whatever comes through now is just going to be a little taster session of probably the next video. Let's just see what he wants to say today around the whole subject of suicide. He's showing me, I mean, suicide, unfortunately, is something that applies to both sexes, all age groups, but he is drawing me particularly to young men. He was a young man himself, so young men who are unable to express themselves and who haven't found their place in this new world, because the new world that they were born to live in hasn't yet arrived. So it's about, he's saying, hold on for new earth. That's the message that's coming through, not just for young men, of course, but for everybody. Hold on to new earth, that you hold the seeds of new earth within you, that there will be a better day. There will be a better day. He's showing me night following day, day following night, the moon rising, the sun rising, the sun setting, the sun rising. the cycles of the earth, following nature. And what he means by that is that however bad something feels at the time, there will always be a brighter day. There will always be a brighter day, to hang on for the brighter day. To not let your tank run too low. There's a thing about depression being linked to depletion, and this thing about being exhausted, having an exhausted battery, having nothing left to give, is very dangerous, he says. It's very dangerous to try to top up each other's batteries. And how you do that is to be there for your fellow man, he says, to be there for each other. To notice when somebody's battery is going low, and he's saying, look at the eyes. He's saying you can usually see it in the eyes, because he's saying people's words won't necessarily tell you that they are as low as they are. I mean, some people will tell you, but a lot of people won't. They'll bottle it all up. But you can usually tell from a person's eyes how they're really doing if you look into somebody's eyes. There's also something about his eyes generally to do with a transmission of energy. It's like you can get an energy fix. He says we can all give energy via our eyes. I know this. It was told to me years ago that one of the ways I heal is via my eyes and my voice. And I didn't understand it at the time. I thought, what on earth what are they going on about? You know, healing is through the hands. Well, of course it can be, but there's great healing that comes through our eyes as well. So, you know, those of us that have got, are well topped up with energy or are feeling good, remember the power of just looking at somebody in the eyes and actually just saying to them, how are you? But genuinely wanting to hear the answer back, and to be present and to be there for that person when they answer you. And if you're met with a wall of silence, as you may very well be, to also just stay in that energy of, how can I serve you? I'm here for you. Okay, so it's about being here for each other, helping each other. He's just shown me this analogy of helping each other up. It's literally like somebody's on the floor, I'm helping you up. Because equally, you're going to help me when I might be on the floor. It's about helping each other, being there for each other. Hey, brother, indeed. Hey, brother. Hey, sister. Okay, Tim, it's been beautiful being with you and your energy. And I know you're going to be back. We've only scratched the surface, haven't we? Is there anything you'd like to say to the tribe that's out there, the squad that's out there, all the people that you've brought together when you were alive, and equally, you know, after your death, that have loved who you are, what you stood for, the music you created, and the energy signature that was uniquely you? What would you like to say to them? Oh, just thank you, he says. Thank you, man. Thank you. I am now, it's interesting, I am now seeing him. I can see his cap, you know, I can see the cap. He's taking his hat off to you. It's like, I'm taking my hat, I'm doffing my cap to you. It's like respect for you, because you're still here. You're still there on the earth plane. You're still doing it. You're still turning up day in, day out. And it's very much the energy of, how can I serve you? How can I serve you still? How can you serve people, Tim? How or in what way are you willing to help? Because I know you are stepping forward to help. In what way are you willing to help the individuals, people that are watching this type of thing here? I just want to be there for them. So it's the energy of, hey brother, hey sister. It's like, see me as your brother. He's saying, see me as your brother. See me as somebody who is beside you and who has your back. It's very Robin Williams-like. I remember Robin Williams when he came through, and he was saying something along the lines of, I can't remember how Robin said it, but it was like, on a bad day, just do anything to get yourself through it. And if you've got to take yourself off to a cinema and you're going to have to sit there on your own, I'm going to sit beside you in the seat and I'm going to pass you the popcorn. It's like, I'm with you. And it's a very similar thing with Tim. It's like, I'm with you. He's saying, let's raise the roof. Let's raise the roof off. Let's raise the roof off. I'm now seeing the dancing. You know, I'm just like seeing this crowd. He says it's coming back. He says it will come back. He says, I know in your world at the moment, everything that's going on, and it's been hard to congregate in crowds. He says, it will come back. There will be a brighter day. You will dance in the sunlight again. You will dance in the moonlight again. You will dance together again. Just keep the dancing going, he's saying. Even if you have to dance in your kitchen, keep dancing. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Take care. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, thank you. Beautiful soul. See you again soon, guys, for whoever is next with Heart Squad. But I really enjoyed that, and I hope you did too. If you've liked it, please like and subscribe to my channel. Well, I will just say also, bottom of the pile, this is also a nice way to leave it. We've got the card of Heaven on Earth, and we've also got cosmic circles. He was talking about circles and communities and councils. So he's saying that within the councils that are going to be developing on Earth, there are also going to be plenty of you there that have got high concentrations of cosmic light. And he says, we're also going to be sitting at the table with you. But equally, heaven on earth means that you can create heaven on earth. It's beautiful. It says all are invited. Fifth dimension, new earth, spirit in matter, all are invited. And we've also got the fire of transformation on the bottom of the deck as well, which is a nod to that fire dragon energy that I just saw with him earlier on. Radical purification, violet flame, resurrection. From the fire, new earth will be born. And he's just there as a guiding light for many of us. And he will be, I'm wanting to say, forever. He's just an eternal flame. He's an eternal flame. Take care, guys. Much love. Bye for now. Bye.